Me clearly. My name is Elizabeth Islas. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am the interim assistant director for the Women's Resource Center. I'm not able to show my camera right now because I've been having some technical difficulties, but hopefully this will allow you to hear me a little bit clearer. So today we are joined to be with Espiritista on their intuitive healing workshop. This is a part of Take Back the Week, which is a collaborative effort across ESU to highlight resources for survivors, support for survivors, as well as sexual assault awareness and education. So this is led by the Sexual Violence Task Force, and a lot of different campus partners put on events, as well as student organizations. And today, as I mentioned, we have La Espiritista, so I will have a little introduction about them and then hand it right over. So La Espiritista is a cutie POC author, performance artist, and intuitive healer based out of Seattle, Washington. And today they will be teaching us about intuitive healing. So without further ado, I will let y'all listen to them.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the introduction, Elspeth. Hello, my name is La Espiritista. Thank you so much for having me here today, for allowing me to lead this space, for listening to your intuition, to being here today. I used they, them, their pronouns, but any pronouns with con amor is fine by me. What else about me? There's so many layers to me, so sometimes like introducing myself is really hard. So I'm just like, I'm this and this and this, and it just keeps going because then it keeps unraveling, right? Like we as people, as human beings, have so many layers to us. So I guess the one thing I'll share before I start leading this workshop, and I'm happy to share more after the workshop with questions and answers, is that I published my first book this past August. It's called Butterfly Una Transformación. It's a book about spiritual healing, and it is my heart, it is my being, it is my life. The first copy was buried with my abuelita, so it has my ancestry, it has my blood, my bones, my spirit. And this book is about spiritual healing. It's about connecting back into it, my intuition, because for so long I found myself disconnected from it because of going on autopilot, right? Like we're always told to go, 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 do one thing, the next accomplishment. And I think right now, especially during this time of COVID-19, we're being quote unquote forced to slow down. Like there is no stopping it, right? Like we're being forced to finally face ourselves in many different ways and to slow down, to listen to our intuition. So this book came to me when I started to slow down and listen to my intuition. I want to also preface before I got started with the workshop that this is Take Back the Week. I want to center this workshop on survivors, survivors of sexual assault, of sexual violence, of interpersonal violence, of intimate partner violence, dating violence. Any form of survivor is welcome here today. And not to say and conflate it like all survivors' experiences are the same, because that's not true. But as a person, for myself personally, who's queer, trans, a person of color, that in itself is a survivor. And I also am coming to terms with my history of sexual violence and interpersonal violence, and slowly coming into my survivorship. So I wanted to just call that in today, and also honor you all for whatever survivorship you're bringing into this space. I want to honor your existence. I want to honor your worth. I want to honor you driving and being here in this space with me today. That is beautiful, that is victorious, that is glorious, and you all hold sacred medicine. And as I lead this workshop here today, I just want to also say that intuition can be, is and can be impacted by our ancestries, right? Like we all have different traditions that we bring with us that influence how we navigate intuition. So what I'm teaching today is very 101 basic kind of terminology, and also the energy systems that I specifically work with. So not everyone will relate to this, not everyone will use the same things, but it's about what resonates with you and what you can take from what I share today. Ground rules for this space: keeping your microphone mute is excellent, just to like keep the flow of this. What I was saying in my last workshop is that it's very unintuitive to do an intuitive workshop in a Zoom meeting, right? Like I can't see your faces, I can't I can feel all your energies, but I also feel all the energies from like everywhere else in the website. So like just keeping your microphone off while you're not speaking. And you're welcome to show your screen if you like. I like to see a human face, but if you're not comfortable with that, that's totally fine too. Listen, try to tune into your gut with what feels best for you. But I love to see the faces that are in the room. I love to see who's here, but I understand if you're not comfortable with that. Other ground rules is that if you have questions during the workshop as I'm going, please type it into the chat box. I might not be able to answer it right on the spot, but I promise I'll get back to you. And if there's anything that you would like to ask me personally, like outside of the group, please do it in a private message. So you can either send messages to everyone or privately. And I really encourage you to take agency of what you need and type it out. And also on the track of what you need. If you need to like step away to go to the bathroom, if you need to drink water, if you need to do any of that, take care of yourself. I'm centering you today. So the first thing I want to do before I keep on talking is I want to start with a little icebreaker to get this chat box going. The question I want you all to really reflect on is, what is your first feeling, thought, sound, or vision that comes to mind when you hear the word intuition? So again, what is your first feeling, thought, sound, or the vision that comes to mind when you hear the word intuition? And I encourage you to share with the group. And I'm just going to reflect some of that and affirm some of that to us before we dive in a little more. So warmth, a bright light, the gut. Yes, yes. Intuition is all about those gut feelings, right? It's like, what is that first impulse, that first gut reaction? My gut, heart, yes. I see someone else say gut, and I'm not gonna call out names because I didn't ask everyone's preferred name and pronoun, so I might just say like this person or that. So I'm please be patient with me as I don't say your name, but I do affirm you. Gift, soul and heart, life, trusting the body and the gut. Yes, a sense of something coming. My gut and my instincts. Correct path. Okay. I'm already sensing in this room today, there's a lot of feelers. There's a lot of people who like tend to see their first, go with the feeling that comes to their gut. That's what I'm seeing. Are there any folks who have a thought that comes to mind, or a vision, or a specific sound? I'm curious. Okay, well, I'm just gonna go with what everyone shared. A lot of gut, gifts, sense of your spirit, your heart. So yes, when we tend to think of our intuition, it's about like what is coming from us from our own source or the divine or whatever you want to call it, but also like what is it that we can trust, right? Like what is it inside of us? Like, for example, if we're being called to do a difficult decision and we got all the information possible, right? Like I'm going to give a decision of like, you're trying to choose what college to go to. You got all the information you can. It's between these two. They're both equally as great. And then everyone's perspective you took into mind and you're sitting with that. It's like a lot of people will go with their gut at the end of the day if they all both look at equal value, right? So it's about like, what is it that your gut is telling you when it comes to your intuition? And I just want to preface that as folks with marginalized, if you have any type of marginalized identity, if you're a survivor, if you are someone, who has been taught to not trust your feelings because of either being gaslit or being experiencing some form of violence that has like led you to fear to trust, like it could be really hard to lean into your intuition. Intuition can be affected by the beliefs we bring, which affect our thoughts, which then affect our feelings, and then affect our behaviors and actions. So I know that like in the last workshop and other people I've talked to, sometimes people like, it's really hard for me to trust my gut instinct because sometimes it has led me to like really bad situations, or it's led me to make the incorrect. So like my intuition is flawed. And I just want to bring into this space and affirm that it's not your fault, right? Like sometimes we are absorbing beliefs that aren't ours, right? When we are experiencing violence, we tend to take on beliefs that aren't actually true, and then it can like it goes in that domino effect, right? The beliefs, the thoughts, the feelings, and then the actions. And today I'm going to share some terms of how to access your intuition, because here I can clearly see that you all have some connection to your intuition. And then the energy system that I tend to work with most. And then I'm going to share the tools that I use on a daily basis, monthly basis, weekly basis, to try to help clear my energy so I can get back in touch with myself. Yeah, to have my intuition, my energy field clear. So I'm going to share the whiteboard with you all, because I know talking could be hard as a learning, like for some people, like visual. So I'm just going to write down these things, and I'm going to talk a little more to you before I get us in our first activity. But hold on one second. Where's that whiteboard? Whiteboard. I'm not seeing the whiteboard feature here. Give me one moment. Okay, we may not have the whiteboard. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna open up a Word document and see if this will work instead. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen with a Word document, and I'm gonna start going over these terms. And please, as I go through this, feel free to ask any questions privately or to the group. I encourage you to do that. Okay. So if everyone could see this, just let me know in the chat box. I'm gonna start sharing the terms. So the 4 ways of accessing intuition are these terms: clair, cognizance, and feel free to take notes, whatever works for you, but claircognizance, clairsentience, clairaudience, and clairvoyance. Claircognizance translates into clearly thinking. So these are folks who tend to just know without any logical reason. So, and a great example for that is, this tends to be my second strongest suit to accessing my intuition. It's that scenario when you think about a friend really strongly, and they just like come really strong into your mind, into your brain, and then all of a sudden you get a phone call from them or a text from them. Then that could be an indicator that you have strong claircognizance. Another example for claircognizance is if you just suddenly just know how to fix your bike or something, like something that doesn't come naturally to you, but you just kind of know the step-by-step logistical ways of it without any logical reason. That's claircognizance. So that's clearly thinking, and I can't clearly spell, but that's okay. Clearly thinking. Clairsentience is defined as clearly feeling. And clearly feeling, so I feel like a lot of people in this Zoom chat has this, and this is just like, I just knew that was the right choice because my feeling told me, right? So it's like, this is my strongest one. So it's knowing that I'm supposed to live in this new place just because it feels right. It feels right. Like you say that a lot, like it felt right. Like it just felt right. So that's clearly feeling. You just know things because of your feelings. You know that this person should be your mentor in some way because it feels right to you. And you know that other person isn't your mentor because it doesn't feel right. That's how you access your intuition. Clairaudience is clearly hearing. So that is folks who are really in tune with sounds. That's folks who can maybe hear voices clear, like actual voices. It may be that you hear certain words people are saying, like you're overhearing a conversation, and you just tend to hear the symbols or the affirmation that you needed to hear. So you access intuition through hearing things. So an example of that is that maybe you're sitting down at a restaurant. I mean, not right now, but you're sitting down in a restaurant before all this happened, and you hear the person in the table nearby say something about like, yeah, my dad has great wisdom, and you are like working something out with your dad, and you're like, oh my God, I keep hearing these messages in the same symbol, or that's clearly hearing things. And then clairvoyance, anyone want to take a guess what this is? Write it on the chat box. I can't see the chat box, but I trust you all are participating. Anyone want to guess what clairvoyance is? I'll give it a second. It's clearly seeing. So this is that you access your intuition by seeing symbols, like visually with your eyes. Or it could also be that, so an example of that clearly seeing images with your eyes is like the red cardinal keeps appearing everywhere. You see a red cardinal painting, you see a red cardinal outside in real life, and then it's like giving you a message that you somehow need to hear, and it's like telling you that your ancestors are nearby, because red cardinals signify like an ancestor that has passed on. So then you're seeing this, you're like, oh, they're with me and I needed to hear that. Another way to access clairvoyance is through dreams. So if you're someone who has very vivid dreams, you're someone who even someone who might not have that many dreams, you might like, and what I mean by that is like if you never remember your dreams, sometimes that means that you have really intense dreams and you're not ready to receive them yet. But clairvoyance is like accessing visually through your dreams, through seeing symbols. And these are the 4 ways you can access intuition. And again, I just want to reiterate that accessing intuition can be really difficult for some people, especially survivors, marginalized folks, when a lot of our messages and deep-seated beliefs have told us things that are actually not true. Not true about our divine existence, right? So it's really, really important to get back in touch with these 4 things by healing our energy system. So the energy system I work with the most is the chakra system, which has its origins from India, but every group of people has this type of spiritual energy system. It might be called differently, but I'm just gonna go with this one because it's the one that's most commonly used. And chakra system is made up of the root chakra. It is the sacral chakra, the solar plexus chakra, the heart chakra, the throat chakra, the third eye chakra, and your crown chakra. And with this energy system, it's believed that these chakras are all assigned to a specific body part. They all have specific colors associated with them, and they all have specific foods that go along with it. There could be specific activities to do to help clear them. So for root chakra, it's really about your sense of safety and home and your basic needs and survival. It's like the base level. It is located in your base spine, and the color for it is red. And things like grounding foods are usually associated with it. So I like to think of like potatoes, which is my favorite because it's from Peru, and I'm Peruvian and Cuban mixed heritages, so I'm just like, oh my god, potatoes, yes. But yeah, the root chakra is all about home. It's about stability, it's about safety, it's about survival. So all these chakras can be either in excess or they can be in deficiency, right? And the goal, or maybe not so much goal, because I don't want to think about it as achievement, but the way to achieve harmony with them is to have some sort of balance with it, to not be so far with the excess and not so much in the deficiency. So root chakra can hold a lot of feelings around fear, right? Like if you're someone who has experienced a lot of home instability, that your root chakra could be like off balance because of that. Root chakra could be off balance if you have been experienced violence again. So I think like a lot of for folks who identify as survivors and who are healing through survivorship, that root chakra can hold could be off balance because of the fear that's been activated and the fear that needs to be healed. Sacral chakra is the next one. And sacral chakra is located in your abdomen area, your tummy. And sacral chakra's color is associated with orange. It is really the chakra that I like to think of it as like right once we get past survival, we think about pleasure and driving. So it's like your pleasure center, whatever brings you pleasure. It's about your sexuality, your sensuality. So like touch, right? Sight, things that activate your senses. Sacral chakra has a lot to do with that. Solar plexus is the color is yellow. Solar plexus is known as your power center. It's located right under your heart, but above your abdomen. So kind of like your chest area, not chest area, right below your chest. So that upper tummy area. And solar plexus is all about the power center. It's about your source. It's about how you take ownership of your truths and like the statement, I am, I feel like it's very associated with it. So I'll be leading us through an I am meditation at the ending of this workshop, but thinking about the solar plexus as your power source and what has thrown you off balance, what has led you to mistrust your power, or what has made you totally egotistic, power hungry, and like dominating, right? It's like we don't want to be like dominating dominion like, right? We don't want to be like dictators, but we don't want to be without our power either. It's like finding that healthy balance of empowerment. Heart chakra is located where your heart is, which is your like left chest. It's green or pink. Some people say it's pink too. And the heart chakra is a lot of green foods are associated with it. So eating like green smoothies, things like that. And heart chakra is your ability to be open to receiving love and giving love. So some of us are too closed, right, with that. And some of us may be too open, that we're letting just anyone into our heart space when actually they need to gain our trust a little better. Throat chakra is located where your throat is. Its color is blue. And this is about your ability to express, your ability to speak, your ability to name your truths and own those truths. So I feel like your throat, I mean, they're all connected, right? These chakras, but throat chakra and solar plexus chakra, especially for folks with survivorship, these are two chakras that are usually at a deficient, I feel like, because we feel like our power has been taken away from us and we need to build that back up. And most of us are in a deficiency with our solar plexus chakra, our root chakra, and our throat chakra. Even maybe our sacral chakra, or it could go to the excess of that, right? Like where we feel like things are unpleasurable, or we start like trying to do too much in that spectrum. But for throat chakra, it might be very hard to name our truths, and it's about healing that. Third eye chakra is located right above your two eyes in the middle of your forehead. And this one is indigo. And third eye is about how you are receiving messages from spirit or whatever you believe in, whatever you are connected to, how you connect to the divine, how your vision, it's all about your vision. So like you have a clear vision of where you're going, what you want to do, your sense of purpose, and you have a clear connection to that. And I just want to again say that I'm just briefly going through this. I'm trying to give us more breadth than depth. So I'm sure there's a lot of questions, and please ask me anything about anything that I'm covering today. Crown chakra is located right in our head, and it's our connection to spirit. It's our, while root chakra is keeping us grounded to the physical world, our crown chakra is connected to the heavens, spirit, and that color is violet, or a bright white light. Some of us are completely devoid of spirit because we've been scared and closed off. Some of us might be too much up in the clouds, right? So it's about keeping that balance. The things that I use to keep in balance with this, so there's many different ways again, and I feel there would have to be a whole series of workshops to talk about this, but our ancestry can influence how we access our intuition, right? Like the foods that come from our cultures, the type of practices we engage with due to our spiritualities or our specific ancestries. It could be like, you know, the way that we access intuition could be many, many ways, but I tend to do a lot of stillness work, right? Like, you know, you can access intuition through dancing too, which is movement, but you could do slow movement, which could be more still. But I'm going to talk about what I personally do. And my main tools to keep fresh, to keep refreshed is Reiki. And Reiki stems from Japan. The founder is Mikao Usui, and Mikao Usui so Reiki is from Japan, but it has influences from India because it uses the chakra system. So it's actually kind of a mixed type of practice. But Reiki is basically about accessing your energy, right? It's just sitting with your energy. So I feel like Reiki transcends cultures. It doesn't have to be called Reiki, but the definition of Reiki is just energy, and it's energy with source and bigger source, the higher source, right? So you're connecting with higher source, and you're using your own source to like heal. So Reiki, I do self Reiki. I have Reiki clients, and it's basically sitting with yourself and your energy and making sure you're just touching base with all those chakras. Tarot is another tool I use, and tarot cards, tarot readings, it's all, I could talk about tarot for days, but there's basically a major arcana, a minor arcana, and I use it as a form of intuitive readings and accessing symbols, and seeing what messages I get throughout my day and what messages I can access for other people. Another tool I use is creative writing and journaling. So I find when I sit down and I just allow myself to write without thinking, so it's just literally writing, free writing for a set amount of time, whether it be 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 5 minutes, and just getting whatever comes through, like from my spirit onto paper, I start seeing trends of what I need to hear for myself. I start seeing, I'm like, oh, that's actually what I need to work on. Oh, those beliefs aren't mine. Those aren't true. And it doesn't come right away. It needs to be something that you keep up on your day-to-day life or weekly or whatever feels right for you. But it's just about getting whatever out of yourself, right? And then like assessing that. And then I also do crystal work, which crystals is another way to help facilitate the movement of any stagnant energy within your chakra, or maybe absorb some of that excess energy. It's crystals themselves aren't like going to heal you, but they can aid you in the movement of stagnant energy or what's excess again. All these tools, everything I'm talking about, right? Even someone you might go to for support, right? As a healer, right? They aren't going to heal you, but these are things that can support and aid your process for healing. And I just really want to emphasize that, because you are your own healer. You are your own, you are the wisest person who can access your intuition at the end of the day. And these are tools that can help you regain your power. So crystal work, there's many different types of crystals, rose quartz, which opens the heart. Some folks who might have too big of a heart, rose quartz could be, throw you off balance, because you actually need like maybe some other things to help close your heart a little bit, and not in the way that's like close your heart and be rigid, but it's like you need some more boundaries, right? It's about boundary work with that. And then the last thing I use is meditation. And I truly believe meditation is one of the most powerfulest tools, because it is just stillness and sitting with yourself and letting yourself finally let your body catch up with what happened to your mind, or let your spirit integrate with your soul. That's what I like to say. Again, we as a society in the world today have always been on go, go, go. Whatever traumas we may have experienced, we may have not had enough quote unquote time to allow that to integrate because we haven't been given the space to grieve. So when we sit in meditation, we are actually able to feel those feelings. So this is why I believe a lot of people have trouble with meditation, is because those uncomfortable feelings that we haven't been able to face come up, right? And it's asking us to let them move. But this is the way that we heal. So these are some of the tools that I use. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen right now and I'm gonna see if anyone has been using the chat box. Okay, no, well, if you have any questions about the tools, about the energy system, about claircognizance and those things, please ask me privately or in the chat box. I'm gonna stop talking for a little bit because I've been hearing my voice too much. And I'm gonna give us some space to explore ourselves right now. I'm gonna lead us through a journaling or an expression activity. And I'm gonna ask you to answer this question for yourself. It doesn't have to be journaling. It could be dancing. It can be singing. It can be painting. It can be whatever calls to you in this moment. But I'm gonna give us about 15 minutes to engage in this expression activity. And the question I'm going to pose to you is, which clair is the strongest for you? Describe a time you harnessed your power through it. I want to hear about your power in this situation. So I'm going to write this question down to the chat box so you have it. And again, the question is, which clair is the strongest for you? And it's okay if it's two as well. You don't have to be binary about it. Which clair is the strongest for you? Describe a time you harnessed your power through it. And I'm gonna give us 15 minutes to express. You can take your time. You can ask me clarifying questions. You can ask me anything. I'm here. I'm gonna give us a little space to process this and sit with your intuition. Oh yeah, and then afterwards, I'm gonna invite anyone who feels like talking about this to share, and it can be anything you wanna share in this space. I forgot to mention that this space is completely confidential. So if you do disclose anything super personal about your own survivorship, about anything along those lines, that it will not be reported, like it could stay in this space. So I just want you to know that this is a safe as it can get space, because no space is completely safe. I don't believe for everyone, but you are encouraged to share whatever you feel is right for you. And I invite you, if you feel comfortable after this, to share your screen and speak for a minute or so about what came up for you, but not everyone needs to do that. So I'm gonna give us some time now to do this. And I'll put myself on mute till then. I'm gonna give us 1 more minute, so please just wrap up your final thought, your final feeling, your final expression, and let's get back into this space with everyone. Just wanted to say thank you for participating in this. I know it can be hard, or it can be fun, it can be exciting, taking a turn for a next step for your healing. I was reflecting for myself what Claire's the strongest for me and when I've owned my power for it. And as I was reflecting on that, I actually started thinking about when I have not owned my power in that. And I'm wondering if anyone had a similar experience. And I want to affirm you that's okay, because sometimes we tend to think of like when we didn't listen to ourselves, right? So I'm going to share really briefly 2 examples. So one that I didn't listen to my experience and one that I did. And I'm going to open up space for anyone who feels brave enough to share. And I have been recording this workshop. I will stop recording then to give respect and space for people's privacy. I don't mind about my stuff being recorded, but I encourage folks to share their experience. I've been seeing some folks are sharing the chat box, so thank you so much. And I'm going to call that out as well. But I would love to see some faces and hear some brave voices speak as well, other than myself, right? So for me, a time that I did not trust my power, and this is something I'm still healing from, and I'm actually starting to own for myself about sexual violence, is that I identify as a queer trans person of color, a person who was trans assigned female at birth. I identify as gender fluid and two-spirit. And back in the day when I used to identify as a lesbian, I was read as a person who was read as masculine because of my choice of gender expression, right? So back like 10 years ago, when I was so young in high school, right, I was read as a butch lesbian. That's what was my label. And a lot of and then it still happens today, right, with gender roles, but it's like a butch needs to be with a femme and that's how it is. And it's like, no, that's not how it has to be, right? Like you don't always have to be a butch and femme, and just because of the way you look doesn't mean that you reflect that identity, right? We can express gender expression and gender identity are different things, but that's another workshop for another day. But I'm just sharing my lived experience. And since I was read as a butch lesbian, read as masculine, folks who were femme thought I had to, like, you know, initiate sex with them. And I remember being pressured by another butch, quote unquote, butch lesbian pressuring me. They're like, oh, you're dating my best friend, Jessica, who's this femme, and you haven't given her sex yet. And I still remember that moment, like how it felt. I'm like, why do I need to give her sex? Like, I'm asexual. I'm in the ace spectrum, like in my mind. Like it didn't sit well with my body, didn't sit well with my spirit, didn't sit well with my soul and my heart. But I was actually pressured to have sex for the first time before I was ready, because I was being read as a masculine of centered person when I am not. I am both masculine and feminine, and I am fluid in my identities. So I remember that moment. It didn't feel right to me, right? Because Claire sentience is my strongest Claire. Didn't feel right, but I still did it. So that's a moment I lost my power. And now I'm going to share a moment that I actually listened and regained my power. And this was the moment that I knew. Yeah, I think I started regaining. I'm trying to think of, there's a lot of ways I've regained my power, but one big way recently that has to do with my gender and my sexual power is even like today, just doing my makeup, reclaiming. It's like, you know, I'm doing my makeup. I feel good, even though I'm being read as a man with many people because of the choices I've made with my personal medical choices with testosterone, top surgery. For me, that doesn't mean I'm a man. It means it makes me more me, and I'm still gonna femme it up, or whatever that means, because the lines between femininity and masculinity can blur really easily, right? There's different types of femininity, different types of masculinity. So this is a way I'm reclaiming my power, by expressing in ways that feel authentic to me. by saying, no, I don't actually want to have sex right now, or yes, I do, right? And I'm still learning and I'm still building that power, but I feel like I'm in that process of reclaiming my power because yeah, I was stripped away from it very early on and in young high school because of and I didn't identify that as sexual violence, but it is. And I'm healing from that and I'm owning it. And yeah, that's a little bit of what I want to share with you all today is, and I also don't want to make it all about me. If anyone wants to share a little bit about their experiences with owning their power, if you want to share a little bit about how it was taken away, that's fine too. Whatever comes to mind. I'm opening the space for folks who feel called to share. And the way we can do this, because there's a lot of you, and it's not as easy as being in a physical space, is that if you feel called to share with video or microphone, you can type in like, I'd like to share. And just for the sake of time, again, I wish we could all have like hours to share, you know, because I really believe in like not rushing people. But I'm gonna say like let's try to share for a minute or two, and I would really love to hear at least from 5 people. And just say if you want to share in the chat box, and if you don't want to share in that way, you can type out too. So does anyone feel called to share with the group how they've what Claire's strongest to them and how they have owned their power for that? And I will stop recording at that point. Okay, I see. Riley, please forgive me if that's the name that you don't go by, but you are free to share. I'm gonna mute myself. I'm gonna stop the recording, and please share for a couple of minutes. Yeah, so the I am meditation, there are things that we can say to ourselves to affirm ourselves to what we would like to become, but that we already are, but may need some help to believe, right? When it comes to I am statements and meditation, I actually had a session with my therapist today, and she started not making me, she invited me. She invited me to say 3 I am statements, which I don't really say in my I am meditations, but they were, I am separate from my mother, I am my own being, and I am not my mother, because I'm doing a lot of healing wounds with my mom right now. And I felt a lot of uncomfortability. Like it brought up a lot of uncomfortability in my body. And it's like, oh, I know sometimes when we say I am statements, I'm sharing this with you because sometimes when we say I am statements and they bring up uncomfortability, it's something that we have yet to believe, that we're working to trust in ourselves. It could be something though also, so there's many truths, right? It could also be something that is just not true. For example, if we're saying I am a woman to someone who identifies as a trans man, that could be really triggering and they're like, that's not true, right? So like there's many reasons why uncomfortability comes up, but I challenge you to like sit with it and figure out what it is that's bringing that uncomfortability. So like, for example, if I say today during the meditation, like, I am worthy of unconditional love, and you're feeling uncomfortable, that's something to start healing and exploring, because it's like, do I really not trust that? Because that is true. I know for a fact, I don't know you all personally, but you are all worthy of unconditional love. And if someone that's not sitting right with you, I would say invite that feeling in, see where it's falling in your body, because it could be connected to one of the chakras I mentioned today. And then do a little research on that chakra, or ask me questions after this, or email me and just ask like, what can I do to help strengthen that chakra? But I'm gonna lead us through this. I wanted to share a nice river sound, but it's not working. So I'm just gonna share the image of the river, and just please listen to my voice as I guide us through this meditation. And please try to trust me as much as you can. So let's share this screen. And just get in a comfortable position, sitting, laying down. There's no wrong or right way to meditate. You can just listen to my voice if you want. You can close your eyes, whatever feels good for you, but you can focus on this image. You can close your eyes. You don't have to. I love the color of leaves like this because talks about change, and we are going through a huge cycle of change right now. We're always going through change, and that's what we can trust. So, get in that position. I invite you to take a deep breath in, hold, and release. Take another deep breath in, hold, and release. Making sure you're breathing in that air fully, holding onto it for just a moment, and then letting go what does not belong to you. Breathing in your divinity, holding on to that, and then releasing those beliefs that are not yours. Breathing in, holding, and letting go. As I guide us through this meditation, please remember to refocus on your breath. Use this as your center when you feel like you're getting lost. Even if you feel like you can't trust me, you can trust your breath. You can trust yourself. So breathing in, holding, and releasing. It all starts with your breath. At this time, keep breathing, and I'm going to guide us through some I am statements, some I am affirmations. And I just invite you to be curious, be receptive, be open to what lands, to be mindful of where it lands on your body, to be mindful of what feelings come up, mindful of the thoughts, of the sounds, of the visions that you get while you hear these words, I am, I am, I am. 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 I am. I am, I am, 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 I am. I am grounded in my power. I am my own person. I am rooted in my self-worth. I am safe in the environment I am in. I am safe in my body. I am safe in my own spirit. I am safe through my own existence. I am, I am, I am. I am, I am, I am. I am worthy of saying no. I am worthy of saying yes. I am worthy of pleasure. I am worthy of getting my needs met. I am worthy of an unconditional love which respects the entirety of who I am. I am. I am. I am. I am, I am, I am. I am worthy of sex that completes me. I am worthy of saying no to sex when it does not feel good. I am worthy of exploring my sexuality. I am, I am, I am. I am, I am, I am. I am being respected by those around me. I am choosing to get involved with people who respect me. I am choosing to get involved in environments that can hold the complexities of who I am. 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 I am divinity redefined. I am divine in my own right. I am my own sensual being who has autonomy for my choices. I am. I am. I am. I am divine light. I am going with the flow. I am. I am. I am. I am setting the boundaries which are necessary for my well-being. I am choosing to not compromise myself for anyone. I am choosing only cooperation. I am letting go of those who do not respect my worth. I am. I am. I am. I am. I am. I am. I am attracting people who care about my livelihood and my safety. I am attracting people who are sensitive about my needs. I am attracting people who care about my past traumas and are willing to walk alongside me in my healing journey. I am attracting people who can be with the complexity of who I am. I am. I am. I am. I am slowing down. I am allowing myself rest. I am allowing myself the space to grieve. I am allowing myself to cry. I am allowing myself to be. I am. I am. I am. I am empowered. I am. I am. I am. Take a deep breath in, hold, and release. And at this time, I'm going to give us a minute to repeat whatever I am affirmations you need to say to yourself. I encourage you to say the ones which may be the hardest. Say them to yourself out loud. Say them in your head. Say them through a feeling. Just say the statements which need to be said. And I will guide us back into breath after this minute has passed. Take a deep breath in. Hold. And release. Another breath. Hold. And release. One more. Hold. Release. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes, wiggle your toes, acquaint yourself back to the space, and welcome yourself back to the group. Mateo, thank you. As you're welcoming yourself back to the space, feel free to share on the chat box any I am statements that you said to yourself in that brief 1 minute that was helpful for you, that may have felt uncomfortable, or any that you just want to share with the group. I welcome you to do that. I'm going to share the one that I'm getting used to. I already shared a few that were uncomfortable to me, but this one's also one that I'm working on. So Jesus said, I am caring to myself. I shared, I am of great value and others need me in this world and in their lives as La Espiritista, because I still have trouble of completely owning my work. And I feel like this is the year that I need to completely embody it. Emily shared, I surround myself with people who care about my safety. Jordan shared, I am worthy of love, support, and friendship. Elspeth shared, I am worthy of making my own decisions. I am worthy of trusting my own decisions. These are beautiful. And I know some of these may be hard to say at first, right? With conviction and with power, but the more that you say them, the consistency, the commitment to them, the passion that you have with them, the more that it will like be embedded into your being. And the belief will be seated into your brain. Yes, yes. Thank you so much, everyone. Continue putting your I am affirmations that you said to yourself in the box. Would also love to hear how that was for you. We are at the end of the workshop. I'm just gonna share one poem from my book. I use this book as a meditation and tarot book, and that's what I encourage folks to use it as. Because again, I haven't talked too much about the books. I was talking about so much other, but the book is basically a spiritual framework for transformation. It's 4 chapters. So like the butterfly goes through their process, release, renewal, retreat, rebirth are the chapters. And in each phase of the butterfly, right, there's a healing lesson to be learned. There's different challenges, there's different triumphs. And release is all about facing grief, facing truths that might have been hard. So I did a little release right when I shared about, oh, when I was seen as a butch lesbian, this is what happened to me. That's me releasing my grief, my feeling. Renewal's about once going through that process, right? Like you're able to be in a new phase of senses, of sensuality, of joy and happiness. It's a lot about like sexuality and flow. And then retreat's about death, a lot about death. So right now as a world, we're going through retreat, right? Like quite literally, we're going into our cocoons and we're being called to let go of pieces of us that need to die off. And then rebirth is like an embodiment of a new being. And by no means, this is just a one-time process. We're always going through transformation. It's like the seasons, but that's a little bit about the book. That's a little bit about my life. And I'm gonna share one last piece with us today before ending the workshop. Number 22 in retreat, Sister Protector. This is the image. There's 47 images in the book and 92 poems. And this is one. I actually drew this, but my illustrator did it prettier because I'm not a visual artist. And the poem is, Mi hermana mayor, I forgive you. You were just a child too. It was not your responsibility to keep the planets aligned and the universe in balance. So I use that, I flipped through it like that. It's a meditation for you to keep, maybe it's a sign for you for the day, but this poem is all about healing through childhood wounds, because my sister had to be my protector very, very young because of my mom's mental illnesses and my father not accepting me for being queer and trans. So my sister took a lot of that labor, right? And that picture of the little boy with the cuts, I actually drew that thinking about my mother during Christmas Day. And that's how I felt, not being seen as the masculine part of me, right? Because I have both femininity and masculinity. So that's what it's a little bit about, feeling small and shriveled, and like the wounds are there, fresh, but it's old, right? So that's a little bit about that poem. And, you know, might not be the same experience as me, but I'm sure we all have our own type of wounds like that. So that's the message Spirit wanted you all to hear. And yeah, I'm gonna open up the space for questions. Chat box, you can unmute if you want to ask it to the group and me or privately. Yeah, the name of the book is Butterfly Una Transformación, and you can find it on my website, which I can leave there. But any questions at all, whether it's about, I know I've shared a lot today, I'm open and all ears now for y'all. Oh, and I'm also gonna put my social media in the chat box if y'all want to stay connected, in my email. I use Instagram. What else? Thank you, thank you. I'm seeing all the thank yous on the box. I was like, ah! Thank you so much for receiving my gift. Because I think, like, you know, giving a gift is great, but to be received is something else. But yes, any questions? Am I missing anything? You're so welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, I'm gonna stick around a bit more. Please, please, please don't be shy to ask questions privately to everyone, or I just put my email address and my contact info for Instagram as well, if you want to reach out for any type of questions about the intuitive medicine I shared today. And I hope, like, I'm seeing people are leaving and are saying thank you. I just hope that you all got something from this workshop, and that you have a good reflective rest of your day as well. I know the sun's shining here, shocker, in Seattle, so I'm hoping that the same is in California and San Diego. And yeah, thank you.
Can I ask a quick question about your book?
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for sharing what you wrote. your process to the illustrations, because I felt that a lot. I was like, wow, that sounds like the way I feel about my sister and how she affected me, you know? But my question is, why the transformation of a butterfly?
Yeah, good question. So I originally chose, so the book cover, the blue morpho butterfly, I chose the butterfly, first of all, because its transformation process is literally that 4 phases, right? And then it's like the seasons. But then when I found out that the butterfly, quote unquote, dies in the cocoon, like it literally turns into mush and then needs to be reborn into something completely different, I'm just like, wow. And specifically with the butterfly, it doesn't turn into this beautiful butterfly without the struggle, right? Like it needs to break through from the cocoon, and you can't rush its process, because if you rush its process, it might come out with like a wing that's not fully developed. I read like a quote, I'm not remembering exactly who wrote it, but like someone who's like, I saw the butterfly struggle and I went and helped it. And then the analogy is that like, since that person went to help it, the butterfly didn't come out completely embodied, and it's because this person was trying to rush its process. So I think that's really beautiful, and I think it's really permanent for folks who are trans too. So I chose the butterfly because of my transness, and I also chose the blue morpho because of it being in the Amazon, and I have Peruvian roots, and it's in Central America, Cuban. And then I found out the blue morpho butterfly can be found as in many different variations. So you can, this one's the masculine one, right? Because of the bright blue. And when we see bright colors, they're deemed as like the male or the masculine. But you can find it half, and then the female is dark blue with more black, but you can find this butterfly half and half. So I was like, that's the two-spirit butterfly, where you can find it like 3/4 feminine sexual traits and 1/4 male. So like there's many different variations. I'm like, there's so many genders to this butterfly, and folks are constantly saying that transness isn't natural when we see this in the natural world. So that's why I chose well, I didn't spirit actually, I found out after I published the book, but I chose it originally because of the process of the butterfly, was the struggle and the transformation, like coming from something that like kind of like the swan, like the quote unquote ugly duckling, and it turns into a beautiful swan. I chose the butterfly because of its complete transformation process. And specifically, again, the struggle piece really hit me. It's like, you can't rush it. Everyone is in their own pace, their own time.
Thank you for answering it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes, yes. I was like, yes. Beautiful.
You're welcome, you're welcome. Thank you for asking the question.
Have you heard of the drink chicha morada?
The what?
Chicha morada?
No, what is, may you
Okay.
explain?
Yes. It's because my stepdad makes it a lot, and he says that he drank it a lot in Peru and in Panama.
Okay.
Oh my God, you mentioned, yeah. But it's maíz morado, and you boil it with like the outside of pineapple and like some cloves, some cinnamon. And it's just like the best drink ever, cold with like pedacitos de manzana verde. I'll email you the recipe.
That'd be beautiful. Yes, pineapple. Yes. My first memories are in Peru, so I recall a pineapple man, but who knows if it might have just been a relative delivering a pineapple, but in my head I was little, I'm like, there's a delivery pineapple man. So, you know. Oh, I'm gonna stop recording this now because I think the workshop has ended.